Hi, it's Finn. I would like to talk to you about why the narcissist is unable to change. Period. There is only one reason why a narcissist will remain a narcissist for the rest of their life. When we condemn ourselves with our own words of saying that we are not worthy, that we are not deserving, that we are bad, these words set a self-fulfilling prophecy inside our mind. The only thing that will change our own condemnation is to stop producing the self-talk of condemnation. My mother was a narcissist. When I was 9 years old and I would leave the house to get away from her, I would walk away saying, "I'll never be like her," over and over and over. I understood at a very young age that I knew what I wanted by knowing what I did not want. And I did not want to be like my mother because I knew that something was sick about her mind, but I was too young to identify and articulate it. I simply said, "Her sickness is coming out." The narcissist condemns themselves at a very young age because someone else made them feel unworthy, unaccepted, and most importantly, unloved. So an outside influence reinforced that they were not worthy, not accepted, or loved. Concerning my mother, this influence was a very strong influence, and it was probably my grandmother. My mother's sister, my aunt, had contracted tuberculosis at a very young age. She had to stay in bed while her mother, my grandmother, took care of her 24 hours a day for a very long time. This took much time away from the other siblings in the family, and as a result left my mother in a state of neglect. It was that state of neglect which reinforced her lack of self-worth, her lack of acceptance, and not only her lack of love, but possibly the absence of love. When the narcissist condemns themselves, they become the victim by making themselves the victim. They are acknowledging their victimhood. After time passes, they grow comfortable in that frame of mind and personal identity. When things happen to them outside the home, they themselves reinforce their own victimhood. They say things like, "Why does it always happen to me? Why me? It's always me." They reinforce it, reinforce it, reinforce it. When they grow into adulthood, they have created and established so many memories of self-victimization that it's where they live inside their head. They thrive in victimhood. Whenever they have a need or a want for something, they reach out to the world in a mindset of victimhood. They say things like, "If only I had a new car, I could get a job. If only I had money in the bank, I could get a new wardrobe. If only I had a man in my life, I wouldn't have to worry so much. If only I could visit the doctor, I wouldn't be in pain all the time." In every justification from their experiences in life, they remain the victim. They wallow in victimhood. That is why we have the saying, "Don't fight in the mud with a pig, because the pig will win and love it." A narcissist is a narcissist because of self-condemnation. And the very act of self-condemnation is the reason why the narcissist will remain a narcissist for the rest of its life. This is the reason why it's very difficult to treat narcissism, because it stems from self-condemnation that is embedded, deeply entrenched in the identification of the narcissist as a person. Self-condemnation is self-destructive, and hurt people hurt people. Be very careful about wishing for something, because you might get it. And if you want a relationship with someone who is already showing negative behavioral red flags, don't say, "It's okay, I can change them." No, you will be pushing yourself into accepting a delusional belief. You do not have the ability to change someone who has already self-condemned themselves and have lived in that frame of mind all of their life. It's impossible. Even a narcissist cannot save himself. They live in the trenches, deep trenches of a behavioral disorder that will take them all the way to their death. Don't enable them to take you down with them. Hurt people hurt people. And those who are self-destructive feel vindicated by destroying others. For example, like those affected by AIDS, will infect as many people as possible before they die because of inner rage. The narcissist also lives with an inner rage. The narcissist has developed their personal belief system, as each person does in their life. But the narcissist's life is based on a belief system that condemns itself unworthy to even exist. No one can fix that. Theirs is a life of despair, doom, and self-destruction, and therefore they live by the delusion of grandeur because they are trying desperately to feel worthy of their existence, of taking up space on this earth. They live in an imagination of grandiosity because they feel so unworthy even to occupy a place they call home. They live in the image of superiority because the reinforced truths of their self-talk is that they are the scum of the earth. They live in a mindset of competition because it helps them to try to feel that they are at least worthy to be judged as the winner. All these ego identifications maintain the narcissist to be separated by the delusion of their false self that they were forced to create to combat their feelings of unworthiness, non-acceptance, and unlovability. They are untouchable, impenetrable, and separated forever by a difference they chose at a very young age. They acknowledged their self-identity according to the condemnation of external forces in their formative years. By the time they grew up, their self-identity was too well anchored to change, too late to do the inner work, to suffer in the depression of the truth, and abandon the self-imposed bondage of self-condemnation. Until next time, pursue happiness.